Opa. It's like Groundhog Day again. Potato. Today I'm making rustic fries to go with my steak. I'm going to not peel these potatoes. I'm just going to give it a quick scrub under some water. Handy dandy knife, nice and sharp. On the shortest side, I'm going to trim. I want my fries to be 1/4 of an inch both ways. Any discolored or unsightly bits I'm going to chop off. And we're going to go about 1/4 of an inch thick. Now that I have a flat section, it's a lot easier for me to chop the rest of the potato into 1/4 inch strips. Do not get lazy and try to chop multiple strips at the same time. It can end in disaster. It's easy to make mistakes and slip and slide the knife into your soft, pink, squishy flesh, and that's never a good thing. So these are about 1/4 of an inch. I'm going to pretend that I've been soaking these in water for a bit just to remove some of the starch and sugars. And through the power of internet magic, we're going to find a couple of potatoes worth of potatoes. That were hanging out in a colander in my sink, just chilling. The French fries today are going to be done with a slightly different technique. I'm going to be adding a whole bunch of vinegar and salt to the water. I'm going to boil the potatoes, like technically simmer them, for about 10 minutes and then let them cool right the heck down. And then they go into the fryer for a couple of rounds of frying. Once at a lower temperature, remove them. As soon as they get a little bit of color, they come out of the fryer, hang out for a few minutes until they cool down, and then they go in for the final fry. The recommended temperature for this technique varies depending on where you're reading it. It's anywhere from the first fry is 300 and the final fry is at 350, or the first fry is at 350 and the final fry is at 400. Personally, I like the higher temperature. Just make sure you're using a high temperature safe oil. Do not fry your French fries in olive oil, especially with the price of olive oil these days. And I will show you what the steak process is in just a few minutes. You've seen me do it a bunch of times. Take a slab of meat, generously salt it on both sides, let it hang out in the fridge for as long as I can handle, as long as I can wait, at least 1 hour. Then I wash it off under running water. Yes, I wash it off. Paper towel, dry the steak. That goes into a ripping hot pan, cast iron, of course, and the rest is history. But today I'm going to be deep frying the steak. The reason for the salt is the salt will penetrate into the meat. It will season it. It will help break up connective tissue. Any excess salt on the surface I want to remove. And what else is there? Something, osmotic pressure. Yeah. The salt deep inside the meat will help hold on to some moisture. Your steaks, you want the exterior to be as dry as possible. That's how you get that beautiful crust or the sear on your steak. But you want the innards of you want the middle of the steak to be seasoned and retain moisture. But you want the exterior to be dry. That's how you get that beautiful crust or char marks, depending on how you're cooking your steak. The other thing is, for every 2 liters, half gallon of water, we want 2 tablespoons of vinegar and 1 tablespoon of salt. So I'm going to set that up right now. You know what? That might be not big enough for these many potatoes. Or I can go all restaurant style, leave these potatoes over here for another batch tomorrow morning. Sure, let's just do that. The steak itself, I'm going to be deep frying in 350-degree oil for about 3.5 minutes per side. And I will do that once the fries are done. Now is the time in the stream where I bring up how my cousin Nick from Greece cooked his steak. What he would do is take a deep cast iron pan, load it up with his potatoes, up to the level with oil, bring that up to a boil, fry his potatoes that way, remove them, and then fry his steak in that oil, remove it, and then take some bread and fry the bread to soak up more of that oil, put that on top of this steak and potatoes, and then he would take the remaining oil and drizzle it on top of everything. It was truly heroic. Just going to do this offhand. I'm measuring my vinegar away from the pot just in case I slip. That was a little less than 2 tablespoons. There we go. I had his steak and potatoes and bread and oil before. He was amazing. Okay, so 1 tablespoon of salt. I rinsed this off, so it should be all fine. The vinegar will help scuff up the potatoes. Normally I would do this with a baking soda, but baking soda will impart a flavor. The vinegar is a lot more, believe it or not, the vinegar is a lot more neutral, and you really can't taste it on the potatoes. So this is going on. Stove, I'm going to load it up with potatoes right now. My handy dandy slotted spoon. Just going to move my potatoes to my stovetop. And however many potatoes I can get into my pot here, the better. Unfortunately, you can't see what I'm doing. It's really, really, really informational and educational. Now, if you can use your imaginations, I had my bowl of potatoes over here, and I used my slotted spoon to magically lift and then drop the potatoes into this water.
That's crucial, man.
It is crucial. Make sure the potatoes are not overly full in your pot. So as soon as the pot comes to a boil, I'm going to turn it down to a simmer and then start 10 minutes on my timer. I'm just going to throw these in the fridge, just like this. As long as the potatoes are completely covered, they will not go bad on you. I mean, they will eventually, but not anytime soon.
You can make vodka.
What was that?
You can make vodka.
I mean, I guess you can make vodka. As long as you use them within a day or two, they're fine. But they have to be fully submerged. If they're exposed to air, they will turn brown, i.e. oxidize. Look at that wonderful potato starch. So neat. So as long, you need to keep the potatoes fully submerged. probably have a few minutes. I normally hold my knife above the handle because this is the typical, the balance point is usually around here, right? But I typically hold my knife right along here and I rest my finger right underneath my index finger, underneath the flat part. This gives me lots of control. You can also do this if you really need to do some precise work. But if you need to do precise work, you don't use a chef's knife typically. You should be using a paring knife or a filleting knife. But I do like to hold my knife up here, a lot more control. And it's good to have your elbow out when you're cutting things. I don't know if you can see this on the camera. This keeps my arm in a very neutral position. And it's easier on my wrist because I have a straight line for the bones here. It's a lot more comfy and you can chop for hours. If you're doing this, see it's pronated, it's easy to get a lot of fatigue and you can end up with a sore wrist. If you're chopping up one vegetable or two, you're not going to notice. You shouldn't notice. If you're chopping for any length of time, it gets bad. In theory, this knife has a super ergonomic dealio, and you can sort of see that I've got the same thing happening, but the angle's a little weird. So this is marketed as a very ergonomic knife, and it feels good as long as your elbow, and you should be chopping with your elbow out. Like you'll see most people on TV doing this, on TV, on your screen, chopping like this. It's fine if you're a frail, skinny, 80-pound person. I'm not. I'm none of those things. So if I'm going to chop vertically, my elbow is tucked into my stomach. So in the real world, my elbow is out like this, and I'm chopping this way, or at like a 3/4 angle. Now, as far as this being super ergonomic, it's a little off actually. But if you're going to be chopping for a few minutes and you don't know how to hold a knife properly, this is going to seem like it's amazeballs, and it's going to alleviate a lot of stress on your wrist and your arm. So I give it like an 8 out of 10. It's a Dexter brand. It says Dexter on it. We all know that Dexter loves his knives, so that's worth a couple of bonus points. It's made with Dex steel. No, this isn't on my Amazon affiliate store. I don't have one yet. Be on the lookout. And really, I still want to hold this up here. But for now, it's a super sharp knife, and I like it. I actually do prefer my President's Choice. I bought it on sale at a wholesaler for either 10 or 15 bucks. Normally they retail for 30. President's Choice, please sponsor me. Just giving the potatoes in the pot a little bit of a stir. Pot. In the meantime, I'm going to get some paper towels. I know, shocker, right? Me and paper towels. Two, four, six. Now I could line a plate, but I'm going to use this tray. And about now is the time for the obligatory complaints about the size of my kitchen. But I'm glad and I'm thankful I even have a kitchen. So there's that. Whole bunch of paper towel. It's going to do its thing. Is that how it goes? It's not the size, it's how you use it. Oh my, how naughty. Okay, pot started boiling, temperature down to low. I just want this to be a simmer. Please let me know if the camera freezes up on me. So it came to a boil, temperature down, electric outlet on my stove, still simmering. There's really nothing else to see over here. Right? The simmering was a little on the low side, so I turned my stove up to 3. But we have about 9 minutes left, 8.5. Today's recipe, as usual, is over here. I'm going to turn my oil temperature up to 4. We're at 270 Fahrenheit. I want to be at about 350, and I'm going to do the frying in batches. Some people like to do their full small batches and just let the potatoes hang out on the side. Or if you have enough oil in your pot, you can add about a third of your batch. Let it foam up, because any water that's inside of your potatoes, once it goes into the oil, the water is going to steam and quickly expand and displace that oil and start to foam up. So small batches of potatoes into the oil. Once those potatoes settle down after like 10 seconds or so, add another scoop of potatoes, repeat until you have a layer of potatoes floating on the top of your oil, but not 2 or 3 layers deep, because then the potatoes won't cook evenly. But what you don't want to do is take like a full bucket of very wet potatoes and just throw it into your boiling oil, because as hilarious as it is, it's dangerous. Did I mention the steak? I think I mentioned the steak. In case I didn't, here we go again. Generously salted on both sides. It's hanging out in the refrigerator. I will be literally washing it under running water to get rid of the surface salt. I'll be inspecting, I'll be feeling the meat all over, looking for any gristly bits that I will cut out. Towel dry. Therina, welcome. Towel dry, and then I'm going to deep fry the steak. I will be doing that in a cast iron pan. I'll transfer the oil from hot to a cast iron pan. About an inch deep, at least half an inch. Should hope it's more than an inch deep, right? I'm the worst. 350 for frying the steak, 3.5 minutes per side. That'll get me to something around medium rare, close to medium well, or medium doneness. That all depends on the thickness of your steak and how moist it is. So I do recommend you start off at 3.5 minutes, keep track of how thick the steak was, and then make adjustments the next time you do it. About 4 minutes left. So in about 10 minutes, I will be busting out actually in 10 minutes, the fries are going into the oil. And after the first boiling, I think I'm going to break out. Do I need to do them both at the same time? I actually can't. The rinsing and prepping of the meat only takes about a minute. So I'll wait for the fries to be completely done. I will leave them in a container, metal bowl. The curvature of the bowl, in theory, will help keep the heat in here. If the fries are as crispy as they should be, they'll be fine in here for a few minutes. A lot of home fries will go soggy if you don't eat them right away. With the boiling and the two different frying steps, they'll stay crispy longer. I know it's thrilling content. Speaking of thrilling content, has everyone had a chance to like, share, and subscribe on the YouTube? Right now would be a fantastic opportunity for you to go click on the YouTube links, at least one of them, and watch, like, share, and subscribe all my videos. Do you subscribe to all the videos? I don't even know. Go press all the buttons. Please and thank you. Upvote, downvote, as long as you vote, I don't care. You're welcome to press the report button. The more people that look at the content, the better for some reason. I could be wrong on this, but I think even getting a bunch of downvotes will help the video become recommended just because of the engagement. But leaving a message in the comments below apparently helps too. You have one or you want one here? Shaky cam. I hope you're not reporting an earthquake. Well, I didn't do it. You can't blame those on me. Well, I mean, I suppose you could. It wouldn't be justified. Doo. Oh, the other thing about the paper towel lined tray, I don't have to press the paper towel into my potatoes, and I actually don't want to. Um, Things agitating the potatoes, bouncing around, the occasional stirring, should all contribute to having a slightly rough edge, especially the boiling of vinegar. So I don't want to press into it with a paper towel. I'm just going to rest it on here, spread out, and let the steam escape on its own, and that will help dry out the potatoes. Teutonic plates. What is this, like an asterisk comic? Asterisk the Gaul? No? Am I being judged? I probably deserve that. Okay. Slotted spoon, I'm just going to transfer these over to the paper towel, lined tray. Wow, boiling hot. Now, these potatoes are a bit thicker than a quarter of an inch. It was a 4.2? Jeepers. I mean, that's about a quarter of an inch thick. Maybe a touch bigger. That's fine. Some of these, like this one, are more like a third, maybe even half an inch thick. I wanted something a little thicker just to go with the steak. You don't necessarily want shoestring fries. You don't want super thin. Those will stay crispy. Those will get nice and crispy. Like those hickory sticks. Do you have those in the States? Grunch, you've had them, right? The hickory sticks, the little super skinny snackos. Anywho, if you go very thin, you don't end up with any fluffy potato innards. It's just crunch. Hickory sticks. Yes. Ours are bagged, but yeah, those things. You can make those here if you make very skinny strips of potatoes, but you don't get that French fry vibe. So don't half-ass it. Go full-assed. Make the super skinny hickory sticks, or make something that's like a quarter of an inch. So this potato, you can see that where it's white, that's where the surface is nice and scuffed up. This stuff that's white here is going to become super duper crispy. Like right now, these potatoes barely feel moist to the touch. So they're going to crisp up very, very nicely. Blake, I will hydrate, thank you. This is my third or fourth. 500-ish mils, here we go. Oh yeah. Chug that water. Okay, so the water's at 350. And just from a couple of potatoes, you see how foamy that gets? Just gonna add a little bit at a time until these turn just the lightest shade darker than they currently are. That was a little close. Ivan, hey. A good indication that the water is gone is when it stops being foamy like this. On my paper towel line tray, I'm replacing the paper because these are already wet with water, and I don't want my potatoes to soak up any water. These have picked up just the slightest bit of color. And again, the easiest way to tell if this first step is completed, it's when it stops foaming up. So you can see I'm sliding the pot of oil a bit off the element so I can easily transfer the potatoes onto my sheet without dripping oil onto the stove. For this step, I highly, highly, highly recommend you use either a slotted spoon like this or something like a spider, which is one of those usually flat, mine isn't, but metal basket dealios that looks like this. I missed a step. What? Yeah, all of that wonderful French cuisine is to be eaten in moderation. Oh, and the other big thing to keep in mind is whenever you're frying things, do not fill your pot more than halfway with oil because bad things can easily happen. Okay, that's calmed down a bit. Just gonna give these a little stir so they don't stick together. Can I do this in 3 batches? Yeah, I guess I'm doing 3 batches. Because I know from the first batch, I was a little aggressive with how full the pot got. And I got pretty close to boiling over. Now, if you're worried about this happening, first things first is take this off the heat and put it on another element. That's all you need to do. This will calm down fairly quickly. Wisconsin is cheese country, and that's a fantastic place to get cheese curds. I visited Wisconsin once, went to, what was it, Madison Dells, some sort of water park. And I did buy a cheese in the shape of the state, which I didn't eat, and it changed many, many, many colors, and then I threw it out. Apparently, that's part of the ritual. Oh no, the potato peels. These are intentionally rustic. Slash, I'm lazy. I kind of prefer the ends of my potatoes to have the skin. Like this piece that is, half skin, I can see this turning people off. But the average piece that just has the ends, skin on the ends, nobody complains. Only the pickiest of eaters will complain. It's more flavor, more vitamins. The skin is where all the nutrients are. Potato skins are a superfood. 10 amazing facts about potato skins. Click below. Number 4 will blow your mind. Again, when this stops foaming up is a fantastic indication that the first step of the boiling is done. Or at least when it calms down a lot. If you see the slightest change in color, it's a good time to remove them. Okay, that's good. Again, I'm going to slide the pot a little off of the element. So this way I'm not dripping oil onto the element or down the side of the pot. I can quickly just hop over the edge and bring the potatoes to my tray. Slide it back over the element. Thermometer back in place. Oh, I wanted to show you something. Here we go. This one that had that neat coloring that was extra white in here. Remember I said this was going to crisp up very nicely? It's a lot more brown than the other potatoes. Any place that was scuffed up or looked like it was an odd shade of white compared to the other potatoes, that's what you're actually looking for. That's what's going to turn super crispy. My oil is down to 250 Fahrenheit. This seems kind of wrong. I'm going to turn up the heat a bit. Hamilton Gaga, welcome, welcome. Now, because I fried these in batches, I'm just going to separate these into the 3 batches, and you can go there. Oh, there you can go. I'm going to end up with 3 batches that I'm going to cook separately. By the time the 3rd batch is done, I believe my 1st batch will be ready to refry. Once all the fries are done, I can get to my steak, and then we're done. Whenever you're using, I don't like this thermometer. I need a new one. Whenever you're frying in oil, you will very likely need to be constantly fiddling with your temperature controls, which is a great reason why you should always have one of these candy-like thermometers. Candy thermometers are great, but anything that's designed to sit, stainless steel, that's designed to sit inside of your pot is great. Just leave it clipped onto the side of your pot like this thing has a handy dandy clip. Put my hand behind it so you can see what's going on. So you can constantly be aware of the temperature and make adjustments as needed. And make small adjustments on your temperature control, because it's easy for the oil to creep up to 350 and then you don't do anything, and then all of a sudden it's 400, and then it's kind of too hot, and then its temperature is still going up. The temperature change is gradual, and later this month, two weeks should be 1 week, and everything should be ready over here. Temperature is at 320. Once it hits 350, I'm going to throw the remaining couple of spoons into my oil. Again, we don't want to just dump everything in because there's a lot of water, there's a lot of moisture in the remaining potatoes. That moisture will, when you get it over 212 Fahrenheit, the water turns to steam. That steam takes about 10 times the volume of the liquid water, and that's volume displaces and causes all that foaming to happen. Yeah, 1 week should be good, Hamilton Gaga. Like, pester me on Monday, and if I haven't reached out to you by then. Grange, I am not painting your house. Wait a minute. How would I even do that? So you give this a little stir to make sure that nothing is sticking. Like, would it be just the one section of wall on the exterior, or I'm not so much concerned about the logistics as I am the legality. Is there some weird homeowners association that I have to run the plans by? Go to city planning, take out a permit. Oh, the interiors are easy. It's the furniture, carpet, and ceiling that you have to worry about. Is the ceiling actual popcorn, or is it just that stucco spackling stuff? Once these are starting to change color, once they get just a touch of golden brown happening, or once the oil itself calms right the heck down, yeah. I never understood that. Like, is it that people, the texture on ceilings, is it because people would get weirded out by having a flat ceiling? Or is it really because you see all the imperfections? I'm pretty sure it's to hide all the imperfections.
At least that's what I was.
Okay, and this has calmed down a bunch. It's got just a touch of color. Okay, and we want this to get to 400 Fahrenheit now. Rich Scott, happy St. Patty's Day. Doopa doopa doo. Thank you, Hamilton Gaga. Okay, so the fries I'm going to just throw into this bowl. I'm not going to line out the paper towel. He says now. Who am I kidding? Aw. Thanks, Maiden. I don't understand the number, but that's really cool. Is that a typo for 4? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, you missed the 7. It's the date. I suppose it is. Irish Kish. I'll stop while I'm ahead. The oil is back up to 350. I do have a bit of residue forming, accumulating at the bottom of my pot. Ivan, thanks for the cheer. Hype train incoming. On a cooking stream? What the heck? All y'all are the best. This oil I can probably use. I need to turn my fan on. I can probably use this oil one or two more times, maybe three. If when I'm done cooking, just run it through a coffee filter, just to remove all the particulate matter, all the little bits of potato skin, uh, bits of dough from the hukumadas. I made another batch the other day over the weekend. But I'm going to contaminate the heck out of this by boiling a steak. So this oil, once it's cooled down, I'm going to put into a composting friendly container and send it off to the grease cycling. Well, one way is uh, I have old containers that once the oil's cooled down, I just throw into here. And I leave this by the recycler bins. There are companies in larger cities that will come pick it up. Um, you can just throw it in the garbage because our garbage goes to our dump. Um, it gets buried. The cycle of life continues. Some cities have much more rigorous garbage control. Oh, and we're a bit over 400 Fahrenheit. These I'm going to fry for a couple of minutes until they turn the final golden brown. And Maiden pours hers directly to the ocean. No matter what, do not, please, for the love of God and all things uh, important to us, do not pour your oil down your kitchen sink or down any drain in your residence. If you don't have a grease trap, really bad things happen. See, they're starting to turn a nice hue of brown. Once we get to that typical dark golden brown, they're done. Recycling, nice. I know in Gronchtopia, the garbage disposal folks are pretty darn hardcore, and they will fine the heck out of apartments, complexes, and I'm assuming it's the same for residential pickup. Last time I was out there, they were super duper strict about what recycling goes into what bins, and if you do the wrong thing, you get yelled at and fined. Hamilton Gaga loves baking potatoes and French fries. I too am a fan of the potatoes. Now I can probably do the remaining potatoes in one batch here. You know, Ivan, I think they only have to be fined one or two times, unless they're happy to pay the guilt tax. these are getting close to being done. And the reason for the difference in color has a lot to do with how the potato is cut. Apparently, using a serrated knife will make your French fries crispier because those really, really, really tiny serrations will leave a little bit of wobbliness in the final cuts in your potato, and that creates more surface area and will result in a crispier potato. Apparently. Yeah, once people get hit with a big enough fine once or twice, they usually their behavior is usually corrected. Almost done. What's my temperature at? Yeah. Flying past 250, flying up to 300, slowly creeping up to 330, 40, 50. Hanging out at 350. I want to be at 400. 370. I'm turning up the temperature. I appreciate gadgets. I do. I just don't think that they're necessary, and I like to keep things as basic as possible. I'm trying to think of what gadgets I actually own, though. Like, a mandolin isn't really necessary. It sure is convenient. Start with the baking potato, slice it, pressure cook, saute, and air fry. Huh. Okay, these bad boys are done. Batch number 2, and my oil is at 400 right now. Pretty sure I can safely throw in the rest of the potatoes here. Pretty sure. I'm also making a point of slowly adding the potatoes because I don't want the temperature to drop too much below 400. The higher the temperature of oil, the crispier and the better the frying process is. If you try to fry at too low of a temperature, you're just slowly cooking something in oil. That's how things get greasy. You also don't want to burn things. So there's a fine line in there. Now, one thing you can do is take your serving of fries, especially right now because they're still hot and they are kind of greasy, just take your shaker of salt, maybe cayenne pepper, maybe chili flakes, or like salt and oregano, or just salt, maybe some malt vinegar, and then just shake it around. Give them a quick coating, and we're good. My temperature, which was happily at 400, snuck down to about 350. I'm going to turn up my dial up just a little bit. Give my potatoes a quick stir. I don't want these to stick together, although they really can't stick together at this point because the surface is all nice and dry. There's no water, so the potatoes really can't stick to each other. This goes into the sink. This is just my starchy vinegar, salty water. And we're going to be done in about 15 minutes because the oil's already at temperature. I was going to transfer it to the cast iron pan. I think I'm just going to fry it in here. Instead of being all dangerous and transferring the oil at 400 Fahrenheit. From my pot to my cast iron pan. Maiden, what kind of sandwich are you making? These are crispy. I'm hoping the camera picked that up. I posted on the Discord my local coming up on expiration date wholesaler. They advertised a few days ago that it was like maple leaf luncheon meat for, was it $2 for 375 grams? That might have been the price of bacon. Either way, apparently they ran out of luncheon meat right away. So I'm assuming that somebody went in and just bought everything. Yeah, apparently they were sold out on Friday. Yeah. I said pan fry. I'm probably Okay, I need some help on this executive decision. Do I deep fry the steak in the pot of oil, or do I transfer a quarter of the oil to my cast iron pan and pan fry it in half an inch, 1.27 centimeters, whatever? I have one for pan fry, one for deep fry. Grant wants to see the deep fry. Yeah. Oh, I think this oil is done after today. Depending on how dirty it gets, I still might filter it and use it for something else. Again, I find the best way to filter your oil is to run it through coffee filters. So I take my fine mesh basket, I put a commercial coffee filter in here, and put that over a bowl and just pour the room temperature oil through it. If something was burning in the oil, you can't get rid of that taste. But if it's just little particles of things that haven't discolored the oil too much, or made it makes it taste bad, then you can use your oil anywhere from 4 to 10 times, depending on what you're frying. The 3 batches of donut balls that I did, there wasn't any extra flour that was falling off. The balls of dough were nice and moist, so the oil stayed pretty darn clean. Pretty darn clean. The Indian fry bread that I made before that, that had a bunch of flour on it, and that absolutely had to get strained out. Okay, these fries are almost done. So I want to make sure that the oil stays at 350 and not a whole lot more. It should be at 400 right now. On the blog, I have an article from last year, might have been the year before, where I did a bit of a deep dive into the various oils and the supposed health benefits and health risks of using them. Don't take your medical advice from some rando on Twitch or YouTube. If I had my way, I would be deep frying in beef tallow. Oh, Granch. You know what I meant. You so silly. Okay, so little bits of potato have fallen off. The bottom of the pot here has all sorts of little pieces of potato. It might be starch, it might be, I doubt it's dirt, because I scrub these fairly well and rinse them for a while. Okay, so I'm going to slide this back just a little bit. want to make darn sure that this oil doesn't get much above 350. So right about now, I can just toss these around. I can throw in a good, I'm just going to put salt on these. Now I could take a second bowl, put it on top and give it a good shake. Or I can just do this. There. Lightly seasoned fries, I'm going to leave these off to the side. Turn down that heat just a little bit. Now, we're going to get to the steak portion and then we're done. This steak, I heavily salted on both sides. You can see the liquid that was drawn up from the salt because of osmotic pressure, don't you know? I'm going to literally rinse this underneath running water. You can see there's still some big salt crystals in here. I want this to be nice and clean. I don't want this to be super salty. That's a decent size. And then I'm going to towel dry the heck out of it. This is for 2 people and 2 meals each. Look how much moisture I'm picking up off this steak. Jeepers. Okay, first things first, we're going to trim off whenever you're cutting meat, go along the lines of fat. It's the easiest way to cut things. So I'm just going to feel this, and yeah, there's no hard bits in here. So there's a little bit of fat here. Nice and tender. Okay. Next. Ooh, that's tough right there. I'm drawing my knife through the meat so it can be nice and easy to control the blade. These sections, these little fat caps, they're kind of a little bit tough. So I'm just going to trim those off. These scrap pieces of meat, I can render the fat off them later. I can save it for feeding someone's critter. Over here, I have one piece. This looks fine. Feeling around for any hard bits. Even this fat over here is soft. But if I can easily pull it off the meat, I will. Okay, does that fit in there? Sure. Now I do have high temperature tongs, allegedly high temperature tongs. But it's much safer to lower this. Yeah, this is smoking a little bit because of, I don't know if you can see the particular, those little bits of burning potato. You have to turn the fan up one more notch. I can't. Okay, let's just lower the steak into here and see if this foams up quickly. I'm actually going to do this off the element just in case. If this foams up a lot, I'm ready for it. I'm slowly lowering this just in case it foams up a metric crap ton. I think it looks good though. Okay, now let's see if I'm going to put it back on the heat. I don't know if you've seen any of those turkey pressure cooker deep fryer hilarious bad incidents on YouTube. You have to respect the boiling oil. Once you understand how it works, this is all, it's pretty straightforward. But you can't get complacent around it. You can't, you need to pay attention to what you're doing because it's easy for bad things to happen. Okay, we're at 1 minute. Let me get the other cutting board ready. At exactly 2 minutes, I'm going to pull it off, and then I will show you what the steak looks like. Okay, that's good for now. "15 more seconds. I'm going to just slide this back. Get a 'I'm not going to let this rest. I'm just going to cut right into it. So I cut my steak, the big one, in half because this foamed up a fair bit. I don't want to push my luck. The exterior is nice and crispy. Is this too hot to handle? Yeah, like the outside is nice and crispy, loaded with flavor, and very, very juicy. This is heading over to DJ Nuvo. I will be right back.
Yay.
First, I'll take my picture. The steak is already seasoned. Sorry?
Yummy potato.
Nuvo likes the potato. It's nice and crispy. This just needs another few seconds. Right there. Gonna check the temperature of the oil. So Nuvo likes the fries. They're nice and crispy. The steak is already seasoned. It doesn't need anything else. It's salted all the way through. And not overwhelmingly so. Oh, I'm using the cheapest garbage quality oil that I can afford. Ad break. Oh, those emotes don't show up on the screen because I record the stream and it goes straight to YouTube. So I can add all the fun things when I'm not recording for YouTube. And if anyone wants to check out episodes since the beginning of the year, you go. So my oil that was close to 400 went down to about 350. I turned up the temperature because I knew adding the meat would cool it down. Mary, great to see you on. So after the last piece of meat came out, we're down to 300. So I turned up my meat boiling temperature up to 7-ish. And once my oil hits 350 Fahrenheit, I'm going to put in the last chunk of meat. Mary, thank you so much for the sub. That's awesome. Just because I don't want to risk this splattering everywhere. Okay, I think it's not going to foam up any more than this. Pretty sure. 2 minutes on my timer. And after 20 seconds, I'm just going to throw on these little scraps. And this oil can't be salvaged. It's very stained. It's very dirty. And that's fine. I got a lot of use out of it. Let's see if I can get some sound out of this. They're still crispy. So this oil, I'm going to let it cool down. And then I'm going to pour it into that plastic container. And that's going to go into beside my recycler. So the real question is boiling the potatoes in the vinegar water worth the effort? 100%. 100%. It adds about 15 minutes to the process and makes the fries way, way, way better. Because at this point, the fries done the normal way would be getting kind of soggy. Okay, just gonna slide this back. I'm gonna fish around for my little chunks of meat. Deep fried chunks of meat. Love that sizzle. Sizzle, sizzle. Oh yeah, well I have recycling bins outside of my apartment. And it's clear what's inside the plastic container, so it's up to the recycling people to either put it into the appropriate container on their van, their truck, or if they don't want it and it's by the bins, then it just goes into the garbage container, and that will get to the dump, and at some point it's going to fall apart and pour oil everywhere, and the cycle of life will continue. I'll show you just how dirty the oils become. That's some dirty, dirty oil. I will run this through a coffee strainer later tonight and post pictures on the Discord. Just cuz. You love your steak flavored lube? I'm not touching that. Okay. Now, if I wanted the steak to be crispy, I would have velveted it with some baking soda, the way you do with like any sort of Asian stir fry for strips of beef. But no, we want this to be like an actual mouthful of good, chewy, tender, deep fried, beefy goodness. So I'm going to plate some of this up for myself. And I'm not going to what's that genre? The mung back? What's it called? People shoving food in their face.
Inhale.
Grunch will help me out. Mukbang, that's the one. But there we have
Steak and fries.
steak and fries. Steak and fries. We have enough steak left over for 2 more servings. Now, this chunk of meat, which was $14.9 of a pound. It was a pound and a bit, pound and a half, give or take. Wasn't the best cut, but it was a decent price at $10 Canadian, so just under 7 US. The potatoes were a couple of bucks. The oil, rest in peace, is a couple of bucks. So somewhere around $15-16, not including the cleanup and the electricity, for 4 servings of this. Kind of a bargain, because 4 of these you're probably spending $80, at least 70, minimum 60, minimum. Which brings us back to that 25% food cost. That's always the target. Anywho, basic ingredients, no gadgets, no fancy techniques. Respect boiling oil. Don't screw around and make sure you're paying attention to it. Time things. If you think you're ever going to be in the greater metropolitan Winnipeg region of central Canada and want to drop by and gorge on food, hang out in the green room, play on the casting couch, be a member of the studio audience, cook with or without me in the kitchen. All you need to do, you know what you need to do. Send that self-addressed stamped envelope to this guy, care of this place. I will hook you up. The socials are all there. Please go check out the Discord. That's where all the cool kids hang out. Also, please check out the YouTube. And I'm going to figure out what we're doing next. Don't run away. I'll be right back. In the meantime, much love, everyone. Thank you for hanging out. Don't go away. I'm deadly serious about people coming over. I'll happily host anyone. I mean, like within reason. Just let me know, and I will cook up whatever you deadly serious. Grr. I will hook you up.